I just want to continue being a savage. That's really like my game. When I walk in, I want like the air to change. My enemy is time. Dude, I lost 3 years of my life. I'm 3 years behind you, bro. I hate losing. I've always hated losing. I hate losing more than I like winning. I've never really shared this publicly before. I get a phone call from Grant. That's where he said, if I see you start up a business, I'm gonna sue you. Grant didn't sue me. God sued me.
Yeah.
He takes off his sunglasses, looks at me. He's like, bro, you made $452,000 last year. If you change anything, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm just literally standing there like, how is that his answer? I open this fortune cookie and it just says, you will soon make a decision that will test your strength. Stack of pages like this big, like a fucking brick. Boom, right into my chest. They all drop to the ground and he says, you've been served.
Welcome to another episode of The Rise of Entrepreneur. Today on our show, we have a very special guest, someone who doesn't just talk about sales, but he bled for it. This man has been knocking on doors since a very young age, who went from not making a lot of money and building a sales empire. He is the inventor of cash cards. He's Jordan Stupar, who is here with us and going to share a lot of great wisdom. So I'm excited for it. Jordan, thank you so much for being here.
Man, thanks for being here actually and coming out to Wisconsin to do this.
I appreciate it, Jordan. You know, one thing I always do, especially when, our guests open their home for us, I want to say thank you for allowing us to use your, amazing looking studio. This feels like I am on, what is it? The show 60 Minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what it feels like. So I appreciate the effort that you put into your studio, the things that you've done to set this up. So thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for swinging by.
Absolutely. So Jordan, we've been wanting to do this for quite some time.
Yeah.
I know you since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in 2016, you were not a business owner yet. Okay. You were working in sales. You were one of the top, executives in a company, making a lot of money. And I remember coming to you and I was just starting to build my business and I'm like, tell me the secret of sales. And I still have a video. I'll show you that at the end. And you told me what the secret of sales was. And you were like, it's all about relationships. It's all about getting to know people, wanting to help people. And from 2016, now being in 2025, I can tell one thing. What you said, you backed it up. It's all about relationships. I see you constantly going out there, shaking hands, making deals, helping people, flying out, doing everything you can to make the world a better place by bringing better sales techniques. Yeah. So I want to say thank you for saying who you were and continuously, proving to the community and everyone around us that you're a real deal.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you for recognizing that.
Absolutely.
In this world of sales and improvement in general, there isn't a lot of people that really believe that relationships are the key to more success.
Right. We know there's a lot of people that say they're a sales trainer, but they don't have a sales team. They say that, hey, we are number one this, we're number one that, but they never pick up the phone themselves.
Yep.
Your story is completely different. And that's why I said you bled for it.
Yeah.
You've been at the bottom and you climb all the way to the top.
Twice,
exactly. Now, before we get into the sales talk,
yeah.
I want to take you back to your childhood.
Okay.
Tell me, who was Jordan Stupar when you were a young boy, 6, 7, 8 years old? What's going through your mind? Who do you want to be? What type of household you grew up in?
I mean, when I was 6, 7, whatever, adolescent boy, all I could think about, all I ever wanted to do was play soccer.
Oh, wow.
I was too short to play basketball. I learned that pretty quickly.
Yep.
Never really big enough to play like football. And so soccer was kind of my thing. And I was, my mom always called me Mr. Busy.
Busy.
I think I have like ADD.
Yeah.
And so I've always been struggling in the classroom, and all I ever wanted to do, get onto a soccer field, kick a ball around. That really honestly carried a lot of my goals well into high school, where all I wanted to do is, play internationally or play here in America as a professional soccer player, because I loved the game. And honestly, probably could have had a shot. I made the Olympic development program here in Wisconsin.
Interesting.
But my parents didn't really want to travel that much to help, develop my soccer career. So once I kind of saw the writing on the wall on my soccer career, I also was coming of age and wanted girls' attention. So in high school, I saw like two dudes with acoustic guitars underneath a tree, and I just saw this pack of girls. And I was like, in order to get girls' attention, I have to learn that thing. So I kind of started phasing out of, sports and soccer, and that's when I picked up a guitar. I got heavily into music and replaced my activity on the soccer field with being in my basement, learning chords and scales and music and all of that, and ended up getting really good at that because obviously whatever you devote your time and attention to is something you're probably going to get good at. And started a band and thought I was going to be a rock star and get famous and rich that way. So since I couldn't get famous and rich playing soccer, music was going to be my thing. And then that kind of carried me into like my first year or two of college, where I was, hoping to be a musician, but we weren't really paying the bills.
Of course.
And that's ultimately where I started getting in door to door.
I want to take you back because you said a couple things, and I want to make sure that our audience, has the details.
Yeah.
So, what age you fell in love with soccer?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. And at what age you're like, that door is closed. My parents don't want to, invest into traveling. I got to move on. What age did you realize that?
14, 15.
14, 15, okay. And then at that point, you get into music.
Yep.
Right? And that's because of the attention of the girls. And, you want to be able to say, what? Look at how this guy's getting attention.
Yep.
I want the same attention. Okay. Did you ever, when you picked up the guitar, still miss soccer?
100. I miss it to this very day.
Wow, okay.
Like if I ever have an opportunity, like in my backyard with my daughter, thank God they get older.
Yeah.
Right now they're 2 years old and 8 months, so there's no soccer to be played. But like, I'll still go in the backyard, juggle, buy a little soccer goal and take some shots. And yeah, I miss it to this day. I love that game.
That's amazing. Wow. And then when you got into the music, right, you fell in love with it.
100%.
Interesting. And you never had any interest until that moment?
No. My mom forced me to play piano from probably like 6 to maybe like 12. And then I got into band or something in 8th grade and played trumpet for like a year or two.
Yeah.
Hated it. And from there, I had like this musical break where like my mom wasn't forcing me to play instruments. And so it was only because of girls having attention on those 2 guys under the tree playing guitar that I was like, guitar's my thing. So my dad bought me a guitar, cheap one, wanted to test out my, my
commitment.
My commitment. And boom, I played 6 hours a night for years until,
What's the favorite song that you can play that you can like almost like say, every time I picked up the guitar, that's what I want to play?
Man, there's a couple of them still that I could confidently, like if we had a guitar here, I could bust it out on a podcast.
That would
and people
be
would
crazy.
Be like, dude, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I would say mostly all my own songs. I placed a lot of time and attention into writing my own songs.
Interesting.
Those are the ones I enjoy playing the most and the ones that I can play with the most conviction and passion,
Your daughters must love it.
They really do, honestly. They don't really understand it. My 2-year-old now, she'll say, Daddy, play guitar. But, and I don't have to sing or really do anything. I just noodle around on it. But they love the fact that it's not a Disney song or whatever, and their dad is sitting there with this block of wood doing something that sounds cool.
So you still have love for soccer, you still love for music, right? But when did the music door said, I'm not going to be the rock star?
That's probably like age 20, 21, when like, that was after I dropped out of college and like life was like kind of real, where it's like, okay, my parents aren't going to give me a car and I'm not going to live in my parents' basement for the rest of my life. Like I need to learn how to make money. And we tried as hard as we could to make it out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin with like a band or something. Wasn't really in the cards. And quite honestly, thank God I didn't go into that life and become some type of rock star. I've got the type of personality would take me straight back down to rock bottom with that type of exposure to money and fame. So I think my lucky stars that God didn't have that in the cards for me.
Wow. So 21 years old, you're like, okay, let me close that door. Why did you drop out of college? Like what was the, indication that, yeah, college is not for me. I know we know that you have ADHD, right? You can't sit still, but was there something deeper than that?
Yeah, I spent 2 years at just a really small technical college, whatever you'd call it, University of Wisconsin, Waukesha, and I did that after going to like, I think at the time, maybe it still is, I went to this place here locally called Brookfield Academy, and at the time, it was the 4th best college prep school. Like, a lot of the people that I graduated with got full rides to Harvard, Yale, Wash U, like, I don't know what they're doing these days.
Yeah.
We can go back to that. It's kind of funny to figure out where they've made it versus me. But I went to like this small college for 2 years, got my associate's degree, and literally went then to a 4-year college, UW Milwaukee, downtown Milwaukee. And I bought all my books, and it was like $1,800. And I go to the first class, I sit down, I look around, and I'm like, shit, dude, this is just, what am I doing here? Like, what am I really doing? Yeah. And I didn't know what else I was going to do. I just knew I wasn't going to do that. So I literally, within 30 minutes of that first class, went back to the bookstore, showed the receipt, got my money back, drove back home, and then I had that uncomfortable conversation with my parents where I'm like, I'm not going back to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did parents do? What did mom and dad do? They
were kind of like, I would say they kind of took it on the chin, and that they almost kind of expected it but didn't really want it to happen. You know, they're baby boomers, and they still kind of adhere to the philosophy that, you know, go to a 4-year school, get a degree, get a good job, take care of your family, get married, live in a house, and die. Yeah. And I just didn't really see that being the route for me, because I don't really have a lot of interest in anything. I've never really had a lot of interest outside of just having a big life. And that's what soccer provided for me, obviously, was the activity that one day I could become professional, play in the World Cup, be on the cover of, you know, ESPN, or then pick up a guitar and be the next, you know, at the time, Dave Matthews was the guy I kind of worshipped, and make millions that way. And then I had like kind of like that identity loss. It wasn't even identity loss, because I wasn't old enough to really have one. But I remember sitting in my parents' basement, literally staring at the wall like, okay, I just dropped out of school. The band's not really working. I'm never really going to get back into playing soccer in that level. Sure. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? And that's when I opened up my computer and went to Craigslist. Okay. Yeah. And you went to Craigslist for the point of finding a job, I'm assuming. I typed in sales jobs. Okay. Why did you say sales? It was a moment of me swallowing my pride. My dad, every single day, didn't look as good as you look in your suit, but he wore a suit and tie every day. He was a very successful sales guy. I want to say probably his best year, you know, back in the 90s, taking home $600-700K. Wow. Never heard my parents fight about money. I wouldn't say that we lived very rich at all. They drove minivans and sent me to a really expensive high school, and they were very, you know, responsible, but I'd never really knew at the time how well my dad was truly doing for himself and his family in sales. And I remember one night, kind of near the tail end of that like music career chapter, where he's like, hey dude, like you need to start like taking life a little bit more seriously, and like you're gonna have a family one day. And I was like, I remember looking him in the face, I was like, I will never ever turn out like you. I will never wear a suit every day, and I will never be in sales. Wow. And like, yeah, probably 2 years after that, just like swallowed my pride, opened up my laptop, went to Craigslist and typed in sales jobs, and just closed my eyes and just hit the enter button. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Why did you have that, you know, I would say anger towards sales? Why did you not want to be like your dad? He made good money. He provided good living. Yeah. Why did you have that animosity towards it? You know, I don't really think I knew what it was. I thought my dad was just, you know, a tie all the way up, stuffy, professional, corporate-y sales guy, but I didn't really know what like sales really was. Sure. And I guess I just kind of put him in a box because I was kind of the rock and roll kid. I put him in that corporate-y, I'm never going to be like you and have this 9 to 5 and
Sure.
work 40 hours. Like, I'm going to work 15 minutes on this song, get rich, and then go party, you know?
Yeah, wow.
And that's kind of what I thought it really was. And then all of that changed once I hit enter on that Craigslist search.
Did you always wanted to be rich?
I've always wanted to have a big life. I wouldn't necessarily say be rich. I've always wanted to experience finer things in life. I've always liked really nice cars. I got exposed to a bit of that in high school, going to a really expensive ritzy college prep school. I got to like sit in, I think, the very first Porsche 911 GT3 that was ever created, and just like,
Wow.
holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, and this house is on the lake, and there's like jet skis and a boat, and then a second garage with another sport. And I was like, I want this. Like, forget all this. Like, I want a big life with options, fast cars, land, boats, like freedom.
So Jordan Stupar wanted to be a soccer player, a rock star, wanted to have a big life, but then there's a moment of this, realization. I'm opening my laptop and I gotta go into Craigslist, look for a job.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens next?
So I realized I didn't have any true sales experience.
Sure.
I sold like vacuum cleaners to my family.
Kirby?
And like Kirby's and Rainbows.
Okay.
And so like I had that experience, but it wasn't like sales experience where you're prospecting and
Sure.
And so I found I saw this one Craigslist post that's like, get paid to give away alarm systems for free. And I was like, this is probably the easiest thing that a guy like myself could do. No experience necessary. And they had their little recruitment video where all their top reps are partying on a boat and driving new Mercedes and stuff. And I was like, lined up the interview. And I went into that interview, and the guy had one question. For his first, maybe he had more questions, but he just said, hey, what's up? And I was like, hi. He's like, so where do you want to be in 5 years if you started in this job? And I just said, I'll never forget this. I looked at him straight like serious, and I was like, I'm going to be on a boat with Carrie Underwood. And he's like, you're hired, bro. Like, that's the most ambitious thing I think I've ever heard. And so literally the next day I went to like Correlation, where, they give you your binder and your contracts, and then literally got put into a minivan with a bunch of other guys after eating Chipotle. We filled up on energy drinks, and I got dropped off in the middle of the hood, a place I've never been in Milwaukee, and it was time to knock doors.
What was going through your mind? Like, okay, this is different. This is not the big life that I dreamed about. It's hot or cold, maybe, right? Yeah. And I have a bunch of guys here who's probably chewing tobacco, doing some, crazy shit.
Yeah.
But this is what I need to do to make money. Like, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, so honestly, at first, it felt really cool because, okay, I'm not at a cubicle. I'm not checking into an office. I'm a 1099, so like, there's no clock to punch. Okay, so this kind of checks out with my rock and roll kind of attitude. And then, I just kind of shadowed a guy for the first 2 days, and I saw him sell a couple of deals, and I was like, dude, I can do this. Like, you're just talking to people, you know, it's a little intimidating knocking on a door, but like, I can probably get over that part, and I can probably talk to people. And so at first it was cool, free. I can't believe I could get paid to do this. This is dope.
Yeah.
And then day number 3 or whatever, it's like you find yourself on the street corner, a whole line of houses, and then it goes from cool to like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, what did I just learn over the last 48 hours? Like, how did they say hi? And like, when that lady said like, not interested, like, what did he do? Like, and so my sales career started 2 straight weeks working Monday through Saturday from about 11 o'clock in the morning until sundown. I luckily started in the summer, so the days were a little bit longer, and luckily it wasn't freezing cold. 2 weeks, 0 sales. And I keep on going into this office for their morning Correlation. There's probably 30 sales guys in the room. The majority of them are putting up 2 deals, 3 deals every single day, making $800-900 every single day. And I'm like starting to really question my ability to do this. And obviously there's no motivation.
Yeah.
There's no momentum. And so literally, I think it was 15 days into me personally knocking, the sun was going down, and I was waiting to get picked up. And I wasn't waiting to get picked up by my manager. I was waiting to get picked up by my mom. I had called her and I said, I quit. I'm done. I'm not cut out for this.
15 days in.
15 days in. I've knocked tons of doors, slammed in the face, just literally not a single opportunity to really do much. And I was just beaten up and I was done. So I called my mom, smoking a cigarette on the corner because that's what I was doing at the time. And she's like, okay, deal. I'll come pick you up. But you have to agree one thing. It's like, what? What do you want? You have to promise me that before I pick you up, after you hang up this phone call, you knock one more door.
Wow.
And I was like, for real? Fine, I'm done anyway. And like over the last 2 weeks, it's been nothing but doors slammed in my face. So be it, Mom. I hang up the phone, ditch my cigarette. I think before that cigarette butt actually flew back onto the street, yo, bro. I'm like, oh, there's some dude like looking like Father Time, dude. The guy was 185 years old, working on a 185-year-old Ford truck out in the middle of the street. Yeah? Yo, man, get over here, man. What you selling? I'm like, dude, I'm not selling anything, bro. Like, I'm giving away an alarm system today. He's like, well, goddamn. Why don't you come inside, man? I've been thinking about getting one of those.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. We go inside. We sit at the dinner table. He's like, so, like, you know, what's it do? And I'm like, well, you know, it comes with this panel, and you're gonna put it on the doors, and it's $49 a month, and you know, there's a three-year contract, and there's a $99 activation fee. And I'm like already I say it like waiting to just, yeah, dude, get out of here. I'm not paying. And he's like, oh, that sounds like a damn good deal, bro. Like, sign me up. Then I was like, okay, holy shit, bro. Like, this guy's down.
Yeah.
The next thing that you need to do in alarm sales is you need to check credit, because it's free equipment on a contract. Can this person actually show that they have payments? And you have to have a 625 or above. Meanwhile, I'm like, dude, I'm in the ghetto. Like, I call it in, and the girl at the credit check office or whatever that's an A as in alpha. And I was like,
oh, that's awesome.
Ended up signing up that deal. He was, I'm pretty sure that he signed up because he knew he was going to die the next day. And like, he wouldn't have to pay for the contract anyway. He was that old, bro.
That's crazy.
Kindest old, black dude I've ever met in my entire life.
That's amazing.
His name was Frank. I'll never forget his name. My technicians show up 20, 30 minutes later because we had to do same day installs. That's how you get sticky sale.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget looking down at my Nikes, stepping out of his house onto his like stoop or whatever, and like coming to the realization that I just made $225 in 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it like, that was the needle in the arm, bro.
Wow.
Because like, dude, I made $225 in 30 minutes as a 19-year-old. Like, what? Like, the only question here is how many times in a day can I do this?
Right.
It's all downhill from there, bro. It's been in sales ever since.
Have you always been this confident? Or
absolutely not.
No. Okay.
No, hell no. I'm introverted. I used to be painfully shy as a kid.
Wow.
Back in my childhood, my mom would have to drag me like to the front door just to meet like our cousins.
Interesting.
I never really had a lot of confidence. I was never very good at talking, public speaking, or communicating in general. This is honestly, whatever you're hearing right now, this is a lot of intentional effort and tens of thousands of hours of communicating.
So what moment in your childhood did you realize that you were different from everyone else?
Damn, that's a good question. I suppose that I kind of realized I was different from the status quo somewhere in maybe junior year of high school. It really became apparent to me that I wasn't going to be going to Yale. It really became apparent to me that I didn't even give a shit if I went to Harvard or had a 4.0 or any of these things that society kind of
puts on you, labels you with.
Yeah. And from there, like, it was always just, soccer, guitar, something that, like, I'm not going down this, like, classical route of stuff because I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be, a dentist. Like, I don't know what I want to be, honestly. I know that I wanted to be a soccer player and that didn't happen. Yeah. I know that I wanted to be a guitar player and a rock star, but that didn't happen. Like, I guess now I'm just going to have to become the greatest salesperson that at least I can be, and maybe I can outperform these other people and get noticed for it. What
habit or I would say belief you had to kill within yourself to evolve to the person you are today?
Another good question. I would say one of the biggest old habits or like limiting beliefs that I previously had that I've had to kill off is valuing myself based on my perceived value other people have of me.
Okay.
I spent a really good chunk of my sales career. I mean, in my defense, I was in my 20s and I was making just enough money to party. But like, I spent a good chunk of my 20s, like chasing the validation of girls and seeing like, am I good enough to get a date, and that just led to a lot of, going to the bar a lot and partying and, just, I realized that is just a broken route, and that if I ever really wanted to obtain what I wanted most, I'd have to let go of that and use my own work as my own personal validation and see the value in myself that way.
I love what you just said, right? Because it seems like at that point in your career, you're making money, but you just don't know better.
Right.
So you're just going through the motions, right? So what advice do you know today that you have received from someone that you needed at that time? Like, what would you say made that paradigm shift to say, yeah, I got to stop this thing?
I really wish that I would have had somebody on my team or a mentor or somebody in my network, just a random Ferrari guy, just pull over and be like, dude, here's the game.
Yeah.
And I wish somebody would have just told me like, bro, you're really fucking good. And you have no idea the real opportunity if you just are disciplined. And if you just do this every single day and you live below your means, like, it doesn't matter if you're knocking doors, if you're making cold calls at Axe Elite, or if you're selling ice cream.
Yeah.
You're going to fucking kill it.
I love that.
I wish somebody would have told me that, because I probably would have heard that out. Interesting story. Sooner or later, somebody did kind of give me that advice. I had an opportunity to speak to a very successful person prior to moving to Miami. And they gave me kind of the be, do, have lesson.
Yeah,
where they're like, what's one thing, dude, that you've always just wanted? Yeah. I'm like, a Porsche 911. Mm-hmm. They're like, okay. Be that person right now. I'm like, dude, come on. That's stupid. I'm not a Porsche. Be that guy right now. Close your eyes and just be that person. Okay, fine. What do you think that guy would do on a daily basis? I'm like, well, he's probably not getting drunk every night, smoking weed, watching Netflix. He's probably reading books. First one in, last one out, blah, 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 blah. He's like, cool, do that stuff. And in about 18, 24 months, I can almost guarantee you'll probably be driving a Porsche 911.
Wow.
And literally, he was probably a couple months off, but that's about how long it took from that moment of me understanding that. So I think the big takeaway for this little segment is that you got to check to see who's around you to give you the advice that you definitely need.
Yeah.
But then again, at the exact same time, maybe you're not even ready for it. You kind of have to be listening and aligned to the advice that you do need, or else you might just write it off. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll never forget when I was 18 and I went vision hunting. I don't know if you know what that is, like going to see mansions, cars, all this stuff. And I was with my team at that point. I'm like, let's go vision hunting. We go to one of the richest areas in Connecticut. Yeah. And I don't know better. All the Maseratis are parked outside. And I go in, it's late at night, Sunday night. It's dark. I go in and look at every single Maserati, and I still have a picture because I had them take a picture. I'm like, one day I'm gonna drive a Maserati. I have the security guard, the manager come out, like, you have no business being here. You'll never drive any of these cars, right? And I'm like just burning with just anger. Like, you don't know who I am. You don't know how I'm built. You have no idea the things that I want in my life. And watch, I'm gonna get it. It's like, yeah, just get out of my parking lot, and you're never gonna amount to anything. These cars are way too expensive for you. And I remember, right, the day that I got my Maserati, right? Yeah, so it's like that moment of just like, you know what? I proved you wrong, and I proved myself right? And being able to, like, you got, somebody told you about be, do, have, right? For me, I didn't have anyone tell me, but it's almost like I started to ask myself, like, well, who drives these cars? Because he made a comment, he goes, people like you, that's what he said, people like you don't drive cars like this.
Yes.
And when he said that, I'm like, when you say people like me, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And are there different type of people? Who are these people? Like, I didn't take it as offense. I'm like, well, what do those people do? Where do they live? What do they, study? Or what kind of jobs do they do? And when I got that, I was like, okay, let me just look up, how do these people operate? What type of mindset they have? And I started to study this, and a lot of things have changed for me. So I can relate to that a lot. Do you think people are too stupid or too smart to take down advice?
That's a great question. I want to make it easy and say, like, it's a mixture of both. I think that people are too comfortable to take advice.
Too comfortable, so right in the middle.
I think people know good advice when they hear it. I think people generally know bad advice when they hear it. Good advice requires you to challenge your current paradigm. Good advice challenges you to admit to yourself that there's another level. Good advice and growth is going to just ultimately challenge what you currently think, how you currently operate, the activities and behaviors that you currently have.
Sure.
And look, growth is uncomfortable, and letting go of specific behaviors or mindsets or thought processes. I'm in the sales world every day saying to people, you can make more money.
Right.
I've done it.
Right.
I'm good. And it's like, you're not really telling me you're good. Yeah. You're telling me that you're comfortable right now.
Yeah, you tell me you settled.
Yeah. And so, I think people, for that answer, then to answer your question, I think people are too smart to take good advice, because the smart thing to do for your brain wants you to be comfortable. And so they don't want to acknowledge that there's a more difficult path that leads to an easier life.
My personal trainer, Luke, yesterday was the first time I went to the gym in a very long time. And he's like, oh, we're going to take it easy. Like, don't worry. Puts me on the suicide bike. And I'm like, he goes, go as hard as you can. Go as hard as you can. And I'm like, literally did it for 90 seconds. I get up and I'm like, I need to puke. Yeah. This is so uncomfortable. Right there in the back of my head, Jordan, all I'm thinking is like, I'm not coming back here.
I'm done.
Yeah. This is not cool. So thinking about, like, I'm too smart because it's uncomfortable. Yeah. I can relate to that because, your body, your mind, your soul, everything is designed to protect you. Yeah. You're almost like in this defensive mode. Something that feels unusual, uncomfortable, you're like, oh, no, danger, gotta go. And that's how we were programmed since the young age. But I think the things that we don't want are the things that we need. And that's what makes us, grow and evolve and become stronger.
Yep.
For you, right? You're selling alarms now.
Yep.
In the ghetto. You're doing everything you can to make it. When did this decision come to go to Miami, and how?
So, kind of to fast forward the door-to-door thing, I did that for 8 years.
8 years, wow.
I knocked doors in Milwaukee for 2 years. And then, like a lot of younger salespeople, I found a company that's like, dude, we're going to pay you $50 more per deal. And I'm like, sign me up, dude. Yeah. So I grabbed my duffel bag and my guitar, because that was all my possessions at the time, left Wisconsin and moved to Norfolk, Virginia. I lived there and knocked doors for about 8 months. I absolutely hated it. Company played with my money a little bit, blah, blah, blah. So me and another rep, we bought a 1988 Toyota Corolla with a broken driver's side window with the intentions of driving straight down to Dallas, Texas to find another alarm door knocking deal. So we do that. Never ever buy a car with a broken driver's side window. We had like a torrential rainstorm driving through Tennessee, and just every truck that passed us, it was like
right in your face.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But we made it down to sunny Dallas.
How much was the car? I'm just curious.
Car was $400.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a bad
That's
car.
That's a cheap ticket right there to Texas. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So we make it down to Dallas. I lived in Dallas and knocked doors there for 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. That's where I got formally good at knocking doors and sales. I managed a team there of about 12 guys after a year or two. So I got introduced to some leadership aspects. And then the girl that I kind of fell for first, back when I lived in Wisconsin, moved to New York City, and we were kind of rekindling some things.
Sure.
And so, what does Amanda do? Chase love. I move up to New York City.
Wow.
And that's where I didn't knock doors. And so she was actually looking for me to get, a base job.
Sure.
Security. New York City's expensive. And me, I'm like, dude, I've never had a salary in my life. This is bogus. So I found an inside sales job at a company called Copart. Maybe you're familiar, the world's largest auto auction.
Oh, okay.
But they had a new division where it's kind of like inverse sales, where we were taking inbound calls from people looking to junk their car or whatever, and we would buy it for as little as possible. That was the sale. And then either we would junk it and whatever, get paid by the towers, or we would find a gem, a 1988 Toyota Corolla that still runs and drives, throw that on the auction block and make the spread. I instantaneously, from day one to the day that I left, 11 months later, every single week was the top salesperson there by a lot.
Wow.
And the main reason for that wasn't because I wanted to be, it was because I had to be. The relationship that I had with this girl in New York City kind of fizzled out after a little while. So I was on the hook for all of the rent.
Oh my God.
And all the bills. And every single week they did a bait and switch on me. The day that we started, it went from an uncapped commission to, if you're the top guy, you make $500 a week on top of your, little base or whatever.
Sure.
So I needed that $500 or else my car was going to get repoed and I was going to get evicted. So I was the first one in, last one out. And that started developing some of my undeveloped discipline, but it was discipline out of necessity, not discipline out of, I want to be a champion and this is what it takes.
Yeah, this is a great culture. I want recognition. It wasn't that. It was necessity.
Exactly. Wow. So I was the only guy just reaching and overreaching. And then I was there for 11 months, and I remember seeing a tweet one day. I was at my apartment in Astoria, Queens, and at the time I'm probably $40,000 in debt because I couldn't afford New York, and I'm borrowing money from the bank and calling my dad, and he's tracking the numbers, and I'm literally top performer but literally not making ends meet, and I don't have family there, I have no friends there, I had a broken relationship. While I lived in New York City, I never went out to dinner. The only thing that I could really afford to do was eat ramen and
Chinese,
occasionally some Chinese, and once in a blue moon I would maybe order a pizza or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I had this moment.
All for love.
Yeah, bro. Crazy what we did,
That's
right?
crazy.
And I had this moment one morning. I woke up with probably the biggest hangover of my life. I drank an entire 1-liter bottle of Evan Williams. I don't know if you're familiar. But that's an $8 bottle of whiskey.
Okay.
So bottom of the...
It killed you.
Yeah. Killed me. I woke up.
Wow.
And it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday. Beautiful day in New York City. It's probably August, whatever. And I remember sitting on the couch, and I just was
that you couldn't afford.
Yeah, right. I couldn't afford anything.
Yeah.
And I remember literally getting up and just going to the one little jail cell window that I had that didn't have a view. It was just another brick building.
Oh my God.
New York City.
Yeah.
And I just had this like come to Jesus moment where I was like, why am I here? It wasn't like a suicidal like thought. It was just like, what the fuck am I doing?
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. And that's where it was like, okay, I don't need to change like one thing and stop smoking weed or like stop doing, it's like, I need to change fucking everything right now. So I literally took my Xbox, didn't unplug it, just grabbed it, wires and all, opened the window, dropped it off the 2-story thing, canceled Netflix, took my whatever bag of weed I had, flushed it down the toilet, took the backup bottle of Evan Williams that I had, flushed it down the toilet, and then like deleted any other little stupid subscriptions to like whatever it was, Hulu at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
Point is I just immediately just like ridded myself of all this shit. And I remember literally sitting back down on the couch and I was like, okay, dude, like this has got to be worth something. Like I had to have made some money, right? Like I'm a millionaire now. I just did this. I check up the bank account and it's like $514. I'm like, dude, none of this did anything. Now I just don't have any distractions.
Yeah.
Literally, probably a moment later, I'm just going through Twitter and I see this guy who I've seen do some like, sales stuff. I'd never bought in a book of his or been to an event or I just knew him from Twitter. Grant Cardone.
Wow.
Tweet said, apply for our reality TV show, whatever it takes, to win a dream job in Miami. I don't think that there's any other day of my life where I would have read that and taken action on it. That was the day of my life where I just kind of ridded myself of these like vices and distractions and like, fuck it, dude, here's an opportunity. So I click on the little link and it's like, hey, shoot us a minute or two video to the producers, and if we like you, you'll get an email back. And so I'm like, aight, whatever. So I go into my kitchen, I set up my however old MacBook that is in like 2012. And I just flip it on and I take like a 3-minute video. Hi guys, my name is Jordan Stupar and I'm up in New York and I know nothing about your company or who you guys are, but it says win a dream job. So like sign me up.
Right.
I send that to the producers. Monday comes around. I go into the office that I was working at in Brooklyn.
The cool part, yeah.
And I'm back on the phones doing my thing, and I get this email from these producers. They're like, "Hey Jordan, really enjoyed your video. We would like to add you to the show. The only stipulation is that you put yourself up in your own hotel in Miami, and we're not paying for travel or food or anything.
Yeah.
You can come down and you can join the show." I'm like, dude, I can't even buy ramen.
Yeah.
How am I going to get down there? Luckily, I'd racked up just enough Southwest points to get a round trip, and I couldn't afford a hotel, but I did find a hostel on Ocean Drive, right there where all the neon lights are. And so that was like $34 a night. I was like, I'm already in debt, dude. I might as well go an extra $300 in debt and go down to Miami and see if I can win this thing. And so, like a week or two goes by, and then it's time for me to go. No called, no showed into the sales job that I did have. So the only like level of solid ground that I had, I was like, whatever. Because I knew I was top guy. I was like, that's my get out of jail free card. I hop on a plane, I go to Miami, and like from the moment that I got in the Uber or the taxi, it was like a taxi bus because I couldn't afford my own taxi. I get dropped off at this hostel. I see all the trees and the neons, and I'm like, fuck me. This place, I'm never leaving. Like I'm not even gonna go back to New York and get my car. Like I'm just gonna stay here. This is beautiful. It's warm. Like, wow. Yeah. I check into this hostel, and the hostel was just absolutely awful. Like the first thing you walk in, I saw some dude doing blow, and then I saw a threesome happening in another bunk bed.
Oh my God.
And like, I have a job interview tomorrow morning.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I need some rest, guys.
Yeah, so like, I just put in my headphones. I listened to Dollar in a Dream by J. Cole on repeat, bro. That was the only like life that I had going in between my head. And I got like 45 minutes of sleep. Woke up at like 3:30 in the morning because it's just loud and noisy still. I put on my suit, I shower, and I literally walk. I walked all the way from Ocean Drive down at the very tip of South Beach, all the way up to 71st and Collins, where Grant's office was. And at 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning, I just stood on that street corner, bro, just listening to J. Cole on repeat, thinking like, I have no other options here.
Did you think that was going to be a turning point in your sales career or your life? You were just like, I'm just going with the flow. I got to be here because I got nothing else.
I basically, the main thing I was trying to accomplish is get the hell out of New York City.
That's it.
I was like, if this guy offers me 20 G's a month, or I'm sorry, 20 G's a year, and like I have to clean toilets, whatever, dude.
Right.
I'm at least out in New York City, and there'll be something else here for me in Miami.
Sure.
And I guess kind of long story short is after 3 days of shooting this reality TV show, I ended up winning.
Was it actually reality TV or was it?
Okay, so Whatever It Takes was a reality TV show. They don't have my episode up anymore.
They don't.
We'll talk more about that chapter later. But basically, every single person that was on the show competing for the job already had a job at Cardone's office. I was the only person
oh my God.
that like legitimately showed up to compete for a job. It's
almost meant for you. It was
100% meant for me.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, out of every episode, with every single person, they were all employees.
Wow.
And I didn't really know that. It took me 2.5 years to find that out, by the way.
Wow.
So like this whole time, like I'm like, dude, yeah, I remember the show, and they're like,
they're all part of the Scientology group. They're like, keep coming in.
Yeah. Wow. So like, of course, I outperformed anybody anyway.
Yeah.
I crushed them because every night in New York City, since I couldn't drink and smoke, I ran 10 miles every single night through Astoria.
Wow.
Down Ditmars, I would just cruise. And I actually enjoyed that, just weaving in between people. And I did that until I just like literally couldn't walk. And then I would literally just eat a bunch of rice, go to sleep. So I was in ridiculously good cardiac shape.
Sure.
And so I ran circles around all the other people on the show.
That were competing with you.
Yeah. And then, they offered me a spot and they were like, you start in 2 weeks. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to break my lease or get down here, but like, aye. And so I went back up to New York City, showed up to work again, and they're like, dude, where the hell you been?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. if you'll have me, I kind of need some extra money for this trip I'm making down to Miami.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, dude, we got you. And my landlord at the time too was really sweet about it. I had like 3 months left, and he's like, we get it, bro. Like, you're good. We'll let you go, and here's $50 for that stupid toll that you're gonna have to pay going over the Delaware Bridge or whatever one that is. That's like $43.
Yeah.
And so, man, drove straight down to Miami. No sleep, just 27 hours of just carrying a U-Haul in my Nissan Maxima, and I moved into the ghetto in Miami because.
North side of Miami?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
135th and Biscayne.
Okay.
My apartment was $800 per month, if that gives you any idea of what that is.
Still better than hostel.
Still way better than a hostel.
No threesomes, no blowjobs, nothing.
Dude, for real. Way better. And that was, I think, Halloween of 2013.
Wow.
Is that little chapter.
You're not going to believe this. Your episode, me and my wife watching on a mattress, renting a basement from my brother's friend. And I'm laying there and I'm like, I'm in the worst position. Okay, my team died. I'm like, I'm a great salesperson. I can run circles around these people. And I was watching Whatever It Takes. First, I was watching $1 Million Listing.
Yep.
And then I said, I love that show. Like this guy, I think the guy's name was Lewis or something on the show. And I'm like, I could be better than this guy. Mm-hmm. Then we're like, where's more shows like that? Because that motivated the shit out of me. I'm like, I'm going to get out of this thing. And we were watching Whatever It Takes. And I remember watching your episode.
That's hilarious.
You wore a black suit, right? And you were there. And I'm like, man, like I want to get in it. And I remember like finding ways, sending messages to $1 Million Listing, sending messages to Whatever It Takes, like give me a shot. Like I got to figure this thing out. And then, things just, that motivation of just wanting to be better pushed me by saying like, there's people doing it. There's people want more. They're competing. My shot will come. So I put my head down and I kept grinding. But I remember that show and I remember you. So when I met you in 2016, I was like, that's the guy that won the show. That's the guy that did this. So when in 2013, tell me, like, are you excited? Are you nervous? Or you're like, this is just another sales job?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing there. Like I mentioned, I had never bought in a book. I'd never read anything other than a tweet from Grant. And there I am on 71st and Collins at my desk. I have a photo of it. You can have it so you video people can see like my first desk. And I'm overlooking the ocean. And literally day one, I'm like, okay, like where do I go? And they're like, here's your desk. And I look at my desk. I'm like, okay, I got a computer here. I got a desk phone. There's a legal pad and there is a pen. I'm like, all right, I've been in sales, dude. Like, where's the leads?
Right.
Jared, the VP at the time, he's like, yeah, we don't have any leads. What you're going to do is just cold call car dealerships. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, so like, he's like, dude, just go to Google, type in car dealerships Houston. Map pops up, all the little red dots. He's like, click on each dot, go to the website, click on meet the staff, find the general manager, grab your sheet of paper, write down the name of the dealership, write down the general manager's name, the phone number for the dealership.
Right.
And that's a lead. I'm like, dope. Cool. So I sat there and did that for like, that was my first week. Is just, I'm kind of listening to a couple phone calls.
Yeah.
But like mostly like, I'm just creating a list that I can get to call on. Once I had, 100, 200 leads.
That you created.
Yeah. Then they gave me like the voicemail script. And so I was like, why am I learning the voicemail script? And they're like, you'll find out. So, I make my first phone call and it's like, I am looking for, Tom, the GM. Yeah, he's busy. I'll throw you to his voicemail. I'm like, that's why they had me learn the voicemail. So, literally, dude, no CRM, no inbound leads. Literally nothing. At the time, dude, that's 2013. Grant he was not a household name. He wasn't known for 10X. He wasn't known. No. He was known a bit inside the automotive space, which is why we focused so heavily on car dealerships. Occasionally you'd get somebody on the phone and they'd be like, oh yeah, man, I've been to, a Cardone seminar 10 years ago. Like,
sure.
I'll take a look at what he's got. And like, that's what you were basically looking for.
Interesting.
And one of my favorite parts about kind of the come up story over there is they give you, at least at the time when I started there, they give you 3 months of base pay because, it takes a little while to fill up the pipeline.
Yeah. You
have no leads.
And then you're commission only.
What
was the base pay like?
It was $3,000 a month. So $1,500 biweekly, taxes taken out because you're W-2 over there. Or at least at the time, that's what I was. And it's a, what do you call it? Where they can recall.
Advance pay?
Yeah, so.
A rebate, maybe? Yeah.
Yep. So basically, worst case for them, they're not going to retain you, and they're out $9,000 or less, depending on how long you stick around. Best case for them, you perform they take back their $9,000 that they've paid you for that 3 months, and then you're just commission only.
Wow.
So all that I knew is that I had an $800 a month lease on a 12-month lease, and if I wasn't going to make it, I'd have to go tail between my legs back up to Wisconsin and really cry into my pillow. So, 1 or 2 weeks in, I was like, okay, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to sell deals in this short a period of time. The clock is ticking. Like, this whole 9 o'clock and leave at 6 is bullshit. I called the COO. I need a key. I'm going to be in the office.
Love that.
Early. She's like, how early? I was like, probably 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay. I get a key. Thank God. That saved my life.
Wow.
I'm in the office Monday through Friday, probably 6:30, 7 o'clock, 2 hours ahead of everybody else.
Yes.
Pounding the phones, waiting for some general manager at some dealership on the East Coast to be in early enough to say what's up.
So you don't have to deal with the voicemail or gatekeepers. You just get to them right away.
Yup. That didn't really pan out for me because, most people don't show up to work that early. So I'm just leaving a lot of voicemails. Then I worked until about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So everyone else leaves at like 6. Some of the hustler sales guys at the time were staying till like 7, 7:30.
Wow.
I'm there until 10, 11 o'clock at night calling Alaska. And in that 3 months, like, rent is like starting to, get due for that 4th month. And like, I need some deals. I remember spending pretty much 3 months, 10 o'clock at night, calling these general managers in Alaska. I'm like, my line was like, Albert, it's Jordan over here at Cardone's office, man. I'm in Miami. The hell are you doing in Miami, dude? It's 6 o'clock at night over here. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's 12 o'clock here or 11 o'clock here.
Wow.
They're like, look, man, I'm really not interested, but I'm going to give you a minute because I got to hear what you got to say. What are you doing at the office at 11 o'clock at night?
I respect your hustle.
They respected the hustle. So all of my first deals that allowed me not really to succeed, but to sustain my opportunity there, they all came from Wasilla and Anchorage, Alaska, from basically the Lithia Automotive Group that I called on 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night in Miami Beach.
So your first deal came from Alaska?
The first 12 came from Alaska.
Wow. So that was your advantage. That was your leverage. Everybody was calling, U.S. or not U.S. states, right? But basically they were calling normal time zones. And you said, you know what? I'm going to think outside the box.
Yeah.
I'm going to play my game, not your game. And I'm going to go somewhere where, I have advantage, open market space.
100%.
Wow. How did you think of that?
I thought of it, honestly, I don't think it was like a creative, how can I get an edge? It was like, dude, how can I just make sure I don't die?
Wow.
It was kind of out of desperation to make sure that opportunity.
Survival.
Yeah.
Wow. What was your first impression of Grant? The first time you meet him?
First time I met him, I was like, damn. This guy's the most successful guy I've ever met at the time, and probably truly was.
What gave you that impression?
It wasn't his car. He pulled the first car he drove when I was kind of hanging out at his office. He had a Mercedes CLS 500. It wasn't even the 55.
Sure.
But the one thing that he ended up kind of mentioning, whether it's true or not, is negligible. But he was living ocean view side in this building right next to the office for I think his rent was $20K a month. And I just literally could not even wrap my head around how somebody could pay $20K a month for rent. So from there, I was just okay. And he's got the suit and tie and he's got staff. And I'm like, okay, this guy, he certainly has more money than I do. So I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to listen. I'm going to watch.
Yep. When was the first time you said, okay, I can learn something from him, not just because of his image or reputation, but because he did something that was this is actually very good. I can use that. This is very helpful. Anything like that happened before?
I probably took most note or inventory of his just dynamic energy as kind of not even a sales guy, but just kind of as that guru-ish, like high energy, get your money up, let's make some calls. Like I wasn't really communicating like that, and I'd never really known or seen anybody kind of communicating on that level.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the first thing that I was like, okay, like this level of energy,
vibration
is attractive, not obviously in a sexual way for me or anybody, but like you kind of want to be around this level of energy.
Yeah.
So like that was the first thing I really kind of noticed.
I love that. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Right. There's that energy that walks into the room and you're like, okay, now it gets a little bit lighter in here. It's a little bit more fun, right? So I understand what you're saying. Okay. Now, at what point would you say that you fell in love with sales? Because, you know, earlier we were talking before we started shooting, like, dude, I'm not supposed to be here. I didn't even like sales.
Yeah.
So, like, at what point you fall in love with sales? And are you still in love with are you in love with sales same way that you love the guitar, same way you love soccer, or it's a different type of love?
Great question. To answer the first question, I think that I initially fell in love with sales on that first sale when I made $225.
That was your first.
That was like my first, like, all right, dude, like I'm gonna get really good at this. But then it was kind of miserable for a while because I still didn't really have a lot of stuff figured out. I would say that I truly, truly, truly fell in love with sales when I was living in Dallas, and I was having like a good month where, like, I don't know, I made like 15 grand for the first time. And then I was like,
in a month?
Yeah. And I was like, dude, I can go to the swimming pool and then I can go to the club, and like it's 12 o'clock, it's 109 degrees outside, the girls are at the pool. So like, I love this, man. I just made good money and now I can just take time off.
Yeah.
That's also the side of sales that I hated because I didn't have the discipline to
Sure.
truly, but that's where I would say, like, I formally was like, I'm not doing anything else for like a career. I'm not looking around, like sales is going to be my thing.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Okay. You stayed in the door-to-door game for 8 years.
Yeah.
Was it the money that kept you? What was it that kept you there? Because a lot of people do sales for a year, 2, and then they go back to saying, you know what, enough, I made some money, now I'm out because I can't handle it. What kept you there?
I would say when you kind of make your way through door-to-door sales for like, say, 2-3 years, and you're kind of around other people that have been in it for longer, and you're also surrounded by people that have been there for 2-3 years, you're kind of stuck a little bit because it is a true balance of like business and pleasure. Like you truly can go home or go to the bar, do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. Nobody can tell you differently.
Gotcha.
And the money, you know, once you kind of figure out some of it, you know, like the money can be great. You know, that's the trap that a lot of these people had going into solars. They saw a couple guys making $1 million a year or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, oh dude, I'm going to go do that. And they never made shit.
Sure.
But like for those that kind of made it through that first year or two and made $100 grand, like there's really not a lot of other options for them that they see.
Yeah.
And so you just don't know what you don't know about different careers or fields or places to go. And so it's easy to kind of just get stuck there. And that's kind of where I was for a little while.
Do you believe you can make more money on the phones or knocking doors? And which one do you think is more effective?
The phones.
The phones, right?
All day long.
Yeah.
If sales is a numbers game.
Yeah.
That's your answer.
Yeah.
Because I know that you could, if you max out maybe 100, maybe 120 doors a day, dude, I can knock down 120 dials in 2 hours.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Tell me, how long did it take you to become a #1 closer, top producer in, you know, Grant Cardone's office?
I want to say about 1.5 years.
Was there like a Goliath that you had to take out? Like, was there a guy that was like good that everybody looked up to, and then you come in and you're like, I'm taking your ass out?
Not really, honestly.
Wow.
We all looked up to Jared because he had been with Grant for the longest. So if there was like but he wasn't really competing with us. He was just managing us. And me and the rest of the guys on the sales floor, there was only 4 of us. So like, that's when I worked for Grant. I was the 4th sales guy on the sales floor. And we all pretty much started at the same time. We were all broke as shit. We all worked really hard and pushed each other. Are
all 4 still there, you know? Like besides you, of course.
Yes, they're all still there.
They're all still there.
Yeah,
Wow.
10 years later.
10 years later.
No, 12 years later.
Wow. Okay.
As far as I'm aware of.
Wow.
I don't track any of them.
Yeah, right.
I don't watch those.
From your perspective, you.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So what did you do differently to separate yourself and become that top producer?
Now there's the big question. The thing that I did, it was a couple of things. Number one is I never let up on the discipline that I created out of necessity. So that discipline of like, hey dude, this little draw that I'm gonna get for the next 3 months is over and then it's sink or swim time. I kept that going for years. I still don't think I've let go of it. You can check my license plate on my 911. It says work more.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever let go of that. So number one, I never let off the gas. Number two is I changed my goals from I want to make this much money in sales to I'm going to be the top guy. So in 2014, my first full year at Cardone's office, I made like $80,000. The goal was to make $250,000. So I doubled my income that year from 40 the previous year, which was nice, but I fell on my ass from the 250 that I wanted to make. I walked into 2015 and I said, you know what? I'm not going to set any income goal. If I make $100,000, cool. If I make $1 million, cool. I'm just going to be the top guy.
What did you make 40? What year? The first year made 40?
That was 2013, and I had only worked there for like 3 months.
Okay, got it.
So that's where I was moving from New York to Miami.
September, October, November, December, boom.
So my first full year there, I made, I want to say like 81, 82, something
Okay,
like
so
that.
you go from 40 to 81.
Yep.
Is that the most money you ever made?
On an annual basis at that time, yes.
Okay, so 40, 81. You're still in debt. You're still living in an $800 apartment.
Correct. At the end of 2014, when my lease at the first place was up, I moved into an $1,800 a month. My first like partial ocean view condo on the 21st floor.
Gotcha.
So things are kind of moving in the right direction.
Yep. Okay.
And then in 2015, I said, okay, no income goals. Don't care what I make. Genuinely don't care. I'm not even gonna track it.
Wow.
I just want to make sure on the first of every month that when they clean that whiteboard, my name is at the top.
Wow.
By as much as humanly possible. It was at that time in 2015 that they started, this is bullet point number 3 of what I did. The companies gave each salesperson a monthly revenue quota. And that monthly revenue quota was $100,000 of total contract value signed.
So that means Grant's company revenued $100K.
Correct.
That month because that was your quota.
Correct.
Okay. How hard is it to get $100K? Is it a one deal? Is it 10 deals? Like what's the average size deal?
Average size deal, contract value. So not just like what the monthly is or what collected. Average deal probably about 18 to 24K.
Okay.
So you would need 4 or 5 deals on average to kind of hit this quota.
Still figuring out your own leads, or now they have a system?
I'm still cold calling all my own stuff.
Wow.
And then I bought my own CRM. I bought Close.io for myself, $99 a month, investing into myself.
Sure.
Wasn't waiting for the company to do anything. And I started really organizing my leads and like getting more and more professional because, again, I wasn't there to make money. I was there to be number one. So what are these guys doing? Fuck that. I'm doing this.
You're no longer operating through desperation, survival. You want to build the identity of the top producer. You're moving differently.
When I walk in the room, I want the temperature to change.
Wow.
I want people to be like, fuck, dude.
This motherfucker's here.
I'm on the phone. Hello.
Yeah,
because I just appeared.
Wow.
The next thing that I did, I think bullet point number 3, is the company gave quota to every salesperson of 100,000, and cool, great, got it, good. I took that quota and mentally threw it in the trash. I multiplied it by 3.
Wow.
So my quota became 300,000, and
per month.
Per month. And so for the first probably month 2, 3 maybe, I didn't really hit it, but I was hitting like 150, 175. So I'm like beating myself up, but at least I'm beating everybody else up too. And then, dude, I hit 300. I'm like, okay. So once I hit a number, that is the baseline now. There is no going, realistically, fine, I might not hit it again, but in my head, the goal I'm never going to reduce it.
Sure.
Be like, oh, it's seasonal, or
right.
If I hit $302,000, $302,000 is the benchmark.
Is the norm now.
It is the norm.
Wow.
And I will do everything in my power to achieve that or exceed it.
How old are you at that time?
I'm 26.
26, okay.
26-ish. Yeah, it's about a decade ago as we sit here today.
Wow.
So I tripled my own personal quota, and then once I hit that quota never went back down. That quota became 400. And then 2 or 3 months, I hit that number. Sweet. The quota now for Jordan Stupar is 500. 5 times that of the normal salesperson working there. And I did back-to-back record months of 400, then 500. And I was like, 600 is the new goal.
Wow.
And so one tip for anybody in inside sales where you can look at a number, instead of writing down your income or whatever, like whatever the deal volume size is or whatever, like when 300 was my quota, I just took a Word document, typed 300,000 at the very top of it, printed it off, put it front center on my desk, right next to a photo of Warren Buffett, because that's who I needed to speak to. And I needed to make sure, like, dude, are you speaking like you would speak to Warren Buffett?
Sure.
So every time I got a deal, cross off that 300K, now it's 275. Sweet.
You go, okay.
And I'm just watching this big ass number get smaller and smaller. And dude, I remember one of my biggest pet peeves in sales is like, there were some months, dude, where I'd hit that 300 on the 7th day of the month. Done. Quota toasted. 3 times and it's like, that's the time where a lot of people let off the gas.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I did it. That's for me the most addicting part of sales. Is like, dude, I've already made 37 grand this month. It's the 7th. Wow. I'm going to be here on Saturday. I'm going to be here on Sunday. I'm going to be here at 7 until, like, how much can I actually do this month?
Wow.
And my biggest check, I made over $200,000 in earned sales commissions December of 2016.
In 1 month?
In 1 month.
Wow. Now, as you're doing this, you're crushing it. You are number one salesperson. You're doing your quota by 3x, 4x, 5x. Is Grant recognizing you? Are you getting like, trip to go here, trip to go there? Are you getting bonuses? Or it's like, no, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Just keep doing it.
I maybe got like a pat on the back. Good job.
Wow.
The paycheck was the bonus. The paycheck was the incentive. The paycheck was the trip. And no, there was no trips. I would say after maybe my 3rd year there is where, like, I think they had their first like yacht party as a company, but it was like as a company. It's not for like my top 5 guys were balling out today. Ace of Spades champagne, spill it, and honestly, that yacht party, I remember leaving Miami in January for that yacht party and went to Michigan to close a $16,000 deal. Because guess what? I knew that my competition was on that boat, and if I wanted to be number 1, that's what I would need to do.
Love that. I have the same mindset.
Yeah.
I love that.
Dude, I've never, to this day, I'm 38, I'm a multimillionaire. To this day, I have not boarded a private jet.
Wow.
I've been invited on them.
Sure.
I don't want to be on yours.
Right.
Even if I have to charter it myself and it's not my jet or whatever, it's going to be my experience.
Yes.
And so boat parties and all this bullshit, it doesn't really get me because it's not me.
Right.
And so I just want to continue being a savage. That's really like my game.
I love that.
Like I said, when I walk in, I want like the air to change.
That's awesome. That is awesome. How did you develop that? Because here you are at one point lost, not knowing what to do, right? Wanted to be a soccer player, rock star, stuck looking at the Craigslist, going to door sales, quitting almost on the 15th day, and then becoming the savage who says work more, grind harder, and I'm going to destroy my competition. Like, what happened? How did you develop that?
That has always existed.
Interesting.
I distinctly remember these same kind of like emotions being in soccer, where it was never a friendly game of soccer for me. It was a place for me to prove a point and embarrass you, if possible. And I hate losing. I've always hated losing. I hate losing more than I like winning.
Okay, I love that.
And like, I love winning.
Right.
So I don't really know where that kind of comes from. I suppose you could maybe unpack this thing through therapy and say that like I have some remnants of emotion from like maybe being bullied in like grade school or something, and I just have a chip on my shoulder or something. But
is your father the same way? Is your mom like that? Is there anybody in your family that has the same tendencies?
No. I'm distinctly the most intense person in my family for sure.
So do you think you were born like this?
Parts of it, I think.
Parts of it, okay.
Parts of it.
So what separates someone that's making $225 a month, okay, to $225,000 a month?
I mean, if I had to boil it down to one word, it's discipline.
Discipline.
Wow. But in several areas. So like,
how would you break it down?
Yeah, so I mean, number one, you have to do the work, like the actual work of making the calls. Like, I wasn't sitting at Grant's office just sitting by the phone waiting for Mr. Big to call me and say, hey, dude, here's my black Amex card. Can you run it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm hustling. Like, dude, I'm not doing 1 hour lunch. Like, I'm eating at my desk. I'm ordering Denny's. Literally, it was a block away. I'm ordering Denny's breakfast by Uber so that I could spend those extra, 6 minutes? Walking, making 6 phone calls.
Wow.
Maximizing my time. So discipline in the actual work ethic. Then what a lot of people miss, if they have that, great, you'll make something of yourself. You also have to be unbelievably disciplined in what you do outside of work. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever got from anybody was make the time that you spend outside of work harder than your work so that your work is the easiest part of your day.
Interesting. Most people run away from work. They are not in love with hard work. They want to find a shortcut. They want to make it easier to find that silver bullet. Okay? You're saying, no, accept the hard work, make it easiest part of your day, and then everything else will fall in the right places. So how does someone go and make the work the easiest part? What do they need to do outside of the work?
Probably do something similar to what I did. I started, waking up and going straight to the gym.
Okay.
I find that to be the hardest thing.
Yeah.
If I can go in and I can do cardio or weights or whatever kind of program I'm on, and I can get that done, dude, you think I'm gonna have a problem picking up a phone call?
Yeah.
Like, I just talked myself out of bed before the sun is up to go sweat and kill myself. Like, everything else is easy. So that's kind of number one. Number two is like, it's really easy to listen to like rap music and rock or whatever the hell you're into. And it's a little bit harder to maybe just tune into a podcast, like what you're listening to right now.
Yeah.
Or an audiobook, or just sit down and read a book. So like, all of these things are like inherently easy. Like, eating a salad is easy. It's just a little bit easier to grab that Snickers bar that's, in your desk drawer tempting you. It's easy to go to the gym, but it's just a little bit easier to not.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm talking about, is taking easy things and normalizing the fact that you're doing those easy things instead of doing what's easiest.
Wow.
And that will allow you to, if you can show up like that in the morning, that's how you show up at work, that's how you're gonna show up at night. Are you really gonna kill this great healthy day that you had at 7 p.m. because there's a cookie in your pantry? No, fuck that cookie. Because you just stayed so good, you did all this, you don't wanna erase all this work. And I would say so, it's discipline carried out in different areas of your life so that, you can perform at an elite level on a daily basis 100%. Consistently.
Talking about making the harder part of your day to be outside of work than inside of work. Yesterday when I went up with the personal trainer, I'm like, this shit's hard, man. And I'm like, look, I'll tell you what, it's easier to make $1 million than to do this shit.
100%.
It's like I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
Like he's like, let me help you out. I'm like, yeah, please, because I cannot walk.
Yeah.
You killed me. So like, I understand what you're saying, but most people are running away from the discipline, from uncomfortability, from growth. How does someone who knows they're running away from these things rewire their mind to go head on towards it?
Start somewhere with one thing.
Okay.
Prove it to yourself that you can just do it one time in one area. Maybe that's fine. You don't want to start at the gym. Got it. Instead of eating a triple Baconator from Wendy's today, go to Wendy's and order the salad. Just do that one thing and just see how completing that one thing makes you feel afterwards.
Just do better.
Just and then fuck off for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, eat the salad from Wendy's and don't even go to the gym, just walk a mile.
Wow.
See how you feel after doing those two things. And before you know it, a year down the road, you're not eating salad at Wendy's no more. Maybe you're making your own, and then you're going to the gym and you're doing a full-on program and you're drinking a gallon of water and you're not doing these things. And it's just start somewhere. You don't have to start with this massive thing.
Yeah. You know, I read somewhere, and I think it was Jim Rohn who said it. And I think this is where your story, right, completely evolves and changes. He said we have emotions in our system, right? And who we are, we have emotions. But there's one emotion, right, that drives us insane. And that emotion is called being disgusted by who you are. And there's a story that he shares that, hey, there's, you know, this guy, he looks at his car and he said, I'm disgusted by the car I drive. That's it. I'm done. Takes a shotgun, shoots all the windows, all the tires, breaks it and says, that's it. Enough is enough. I'm no longer driving this car. I deserve better, right? When you're telling me that you're sitting there and you're looking outside that New York window and you're just like, that's it. I'm removing all the distractions. I'm going to throw away the weed. I'm going to throw away the Xbox. I am disgusted with the person that I am, and I'm going to change everything about me, right? That to me is that driving force of being disgusted of who you are. But that only comes when you can accept you for who you are.
Got to.
And be willing to change every aspect of who you need to be so that way you can live the life that you desire to live, right? If you were to go back to that window moment, okay, and knock on that door to talk to Jordan, okay, what would you tell him?
In that moment?
Because I'm sure he needed a friend in that moment.
Oh boy, he could have. He could have used a guy like me right
right.
I suppose I'm not sure that I would have interfered too much, but I would have just said, "This is the correct thing. It won't feel like it for another 3 years."
Wow.
Don't expect this thing to pay off for another couple of years. Yeah, you probably feel a little bit better or whatever, but like in the grand scheme of you changing your life, like, bro, you're not going to pay off $40,000 worth of debt next week because you threw your Xbox out the window. Like, stick with it.
Wow.
And that's what I pretty much did, but it would have been nice to like know, like, hey, dude, this is going to be a 2-3 year long dark ass tunnel.
Yeah.
But I promise you, in about June of 2016, bro, fuck, man, you're going to really like this decision, so just stick it out.
Many of our listeners might be listening right now at this point, and they're like, wow, what a great story. Bright future. Look, happy ending. But what they don't know is in 2016, right, going 2017, things go opposite.
Big time.
Right? You go from making $500,000, $700,000 a year to being sued, from losing your opportunity or deciding to leave the opportunity to start over. Can you get into that?
Yeah, so May 2nd.
May 2nd, so like...
Dude, yeah.
3 days ago.
Yeah, we're like almost on the anniversary of that fateful decision.
Wow.
Actually, for a little context, because I always find this unbelievably interesting and funny, is, what was it? April 29th. I'm sitting at the PF Chang's in Aventura, Florida, by my yacht club that I was living in. And you know, at PF Chang's, they have the best...
steak?
No, the best fortune cookies.
Okay.
Not the cookie part, but like the actual little note in the fortune cookie. And I remember unraveling this because I had mentally accepted, like, I'm resigning from Cardone.
So
like,
you made the decision.
I don't really know when, but
Yeah.
like, I know I'm done. It could be next month, 2 months. Like, I know I'm done though. And then I opened this fortune cookie, and it just says, you will soon make a decision that will test your strength.
Oh my God.
And I remember looking at that cookie, and I was like, man, fuck, bro. Like, damn.
That's when you're like, fortune cookies are real. Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, bro, I believe in P.F. Chang's fortune cookies now.
Everybody go to P.F. Chang, grab a cookie.
Like, if P.F. Chang's cookie says you're going to have a bad day, like, bro, just don't even wake up that day.
Yes,
Let's
stay
in
home.
bed. Yeah.
It's like the Saratoga with the whole thing. Now, Saratoga sales went up because of Jordan Stupar. Fortune cookies at P.F. Chang just went off the roof.
Dude, I just want the free P.F. Chang's chicken for the rest of my life, please.
That's so funny.
But yeah, like, whatever that is, a week later, I'm sitting in, the Cardone new world headquarters place that they still have right now in Aventura. I'm sitting in my brand new 911. I'm wearing my custom tailored Hugo Boss suit. And like, dude, I got, 375 grand cash sitting in the bank. I'm dating a Norwegian model. I'm living at a yacht club. And I'm like,
Let me screw this thing up.
I'm gonna fuck this thing up real quick.
Wow.
And I typed out this little resignation note, and I'll never forget, dude. I walk in, and like, dude, the air for me changed because like I changed. I go to my desk and I kind of put down my little bag, and I kind of just like, I'm like, shit, dude, am I really about to do this?
This is in the morning, afternoon?
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning. So you already come in with the decision, I'm doing this.
I'm doing this today.
Wow.
And I spent 3 hours on this 2-paragraph resignation letter. And
do you remember what it said?
man, it was pretty to the point, but very like courteous, to whom it may concern. Like, this has been one of the greatest chapters in my life. I endlessly have enjoyed this position and this role. I've learned a lot, blah, blah, blah. However, after a ton of consideration, obviously, I feel as now I'm being pulled in a different chapter of my life,
Sure.
and I'd like to amicably and respectfully close this one. Something
Sure.
like that.
No ChatGPT back in the day to help us out.
Yeah, I'm like on thesaurus.com, like,
Yeah.
what's a better word for grateful, you know?
I love it.
And so I walk in, and, I think one thing to note is, like, this wasn't like a job. This was like life. Like, I came up with these guys.
Sure.
We're all making 40, 50, 60 grand a month. We got our own inside jokes. And like I said to you before the podcast, like, one of those guys, like, if I had gotten married at the time, would have been my best man. All of them would have been in my wedding party.
Sure.
Like, this is my family, bro. Like, this is it. And like, I'm about to leave these people. And I remember going in to the COO's office and, just kind of sit down, and I just slide this little note over, and within about 14 seconds, she takes her eyeglasses down. 1 second. Walks out, grabs Jared. They come in, and they're like, so you want to leave? Like, can you walk us through this?
Yeah, like tell us why.
I had platinum handcuffs on. They're like, you really want the key? And I'm like, look, like I said right here, if you actually read it, like, I love you guys, okay? This has been one of the greatest chapters of my life. I have an unbelievable amount of gratitude for the opportunities here and blah, 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 blah. Like, I just feel like now I need to go grow somewhere else. Like, I'm kind of just done with this chapter. And they just could not figure out that was like
the reality.
So they're like, they kind of started getting in that like offensive, like, well, you know, Albert, Jordan, like, you're never going to make this type of money anywhere else, right? Like, you know that. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, so what? Like, and then, then Grant walked in.
So Grant shows up.
So I'm getting triple teamed here by
Wow.
every executive in the office. And he's, what are you doing, bro? Like, now I have to reiterate everything I just spent an hour.
Sure.
It's just time. You know, I love this place. I love you guys. Nothing against anybody here, but like, it's just my time to go. And then like, dude, then I walked out of that office, jumped in my car. I was like, what the fuck have I done?
Wow.
Like, dude, I just quit as the top sales guy.
It was instant like that. So as soon as you sat in your car, you're like, what the fuck did I just do?
Dude, like everything, I could still see everything, but everything just turned black and white. Like it was like this just out of body-ish type of like,
yeah,
you just did that, bro. Like,
yeah.
Are you insane? Like every version of your conscious, the demon and the angel, they're both looking
confused
at each other like, what the fuck did this guy just do?
Wow.
And, but at the exact same moment, I was like, dude, I just did that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I am a free man. I'm going to pursue entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Holy F. So, like, you know, there was this extreme level of naive excitement flowing through my veins that I had kind of accomplished something here.
Sure.
And I was ready for the next chapter. And, yeah, that didn't last very long.
No. Tell me when it was like, yeah, the excitement is good. And I have young guys on my team and they're like, oh, we're going to expand to North Carolina, Miami. And they're like, it's more exciting to build that than build what we're building here in the house, right? But that excitement only lasts until you face some real shit, right? Like, yeah. Marshall shows up and says, you're being sued. Mm-hmm. Or this bill's due, credit card due, and you see your cash just depleting, mm-hmm. right, step by step. So at one point, how long did it last for the excitement to go to now fear, maybe?
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks, wow.
So I had like a good little 2-week honeymoon, mostly because I was dead quiet. Okay. I didn't say anything on social. I wasn't here to badmouth any. I just a little peace for like 2 weeks.
Sure.
Just like preparing for like my next thing and figuring it out.
Yeah.
So like that was a fun little 2 weeks. And then about 2 weeks after that, you know, I make a Facebook post and I'm like, I'm going live tomorrow and I got some big news. And I went live the next day and I was like, go to jordanstupar.com, join my email list. I'm starting the Sales Academy. And by the way, I no longer work over here and I'm my own guy. I'm open for business. I can't take a credit card and I don't really have a landing page and I don't really know how any of this stuff works, but like I'd love to give some advice or help you out because of what I've learned and what I know. And dude, my like just organic little, it wasn't a business, it's just like a little, you know, mom, dad, sister, friend Facebook page. I don't think to this day I've ever seen anybody gain as much organic like viewers, attraction, likes, and like, bro, the level of hate that I got too.
Wow.
I kind of miss it, honestly.
Did you get more hate or more love?
It was split down the center. So I don't remember who it was, but they messaged me and they're like, dude, it's like watching you and G go through a divorce, bro. Wow. It's like, we're just the kids, you know, like we're watching mom and dad get split up and we both kind of like you, but we got to kind of pick sides type thing. And it's like, do you, bro? Like, you know, if you want to like me, cool. If you don't like, and then of course there was a lot of people that are like, you're a fucking idiot. You know, you'll never stand on your own 2 feet. You know, blah, blah, blah. But of course, there was a good equal amount of support as well.
Wow. So 3 days or 3 weeks later, right? From what I know, you get a call.
Yeah. So 3 days later, I get a phone call from Grant. I'm sitting at the swimming pool at my yacht club with my girlfriend at the time and kind of still in that like honeymoon phase of entrepreneurship.
Oh, yeah.
And I get a call from Grant. I pick up. I'm like, what's up? And he says, you know, hey, dude, like, what's up? I'm like, sitting by the pool, dude. You know, like
relaxing.
Yeah, what's up with you? Look, man, I want to find out why you left. You know, we're like, were you stealing money? Were you like stealing leads or like
Right.
working, shady with the marketing team for some stuff or no.
Right.
He asked me if I kissed his wife. I'm like, no, hell no.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, yeah, like, dude, it's what I told you in the office. Like, I just wanted to leave. And that's where I've never really shared this publicly before. That's where he said, I'm going to give you two options. He said, you can either A, go down to this place and do a security check that can prove to me that you didn't do anything wrong in the business. Or if I see you start up a business like I saw on Facebook, I'm going to sue you. And I kind of carefully thought about it for a quick second, and me kind of still having a little bit of that rock and roll rebel in me. And of course, not really knowing what a lawsuit is, feels like, looks like, or anything. I literally said, sue me.
Really? That was your response?
That was my response.
Wow.
And then he hung up the phone.
He didn't respond back. He just hung up.
I got blocked. And I became like bad goods with all my friends there.
Yeah.
They weren't even, P.S., like while it was still kind of good, that little 2-week period, like not a single person that I worked with reached out to me.
That's so
And we
weird.
all lived in the same apartment together, like
Wow.
in different condos. Like not one single person was able to contact me. I'm good friends still with Natasha, who worked there. And we chat now and again. She doesn't work there no more either, but literally like she was instructed, like verbally and like typed out, instructed, and it was expressed to her that she is to have no communication with me whatsoever about anything for any reason, under any circumstance, like ever.
Wow.
And I'm assuming that the rest of those guys probably got that as well. And look, man, that was that there was not the dark day. That was just kind of like, holy F. Like,
Yeah.
is he gonna do this?
Right.
And then
Were you waiting? Anticipating?
Oh yeah.
You were. Okay.
From there, dude, I don't think my resting heart rate has ever dropped below like a certain new elevated level. And probably about 2.5, maybe 3 weeks after that, I remember it was Friday night, 10 p.m. And I'm chilling with my girlfriend at my condo, and there's a knock at the door. I'm like, dude, who the hell's coming by my house at 10 p.m.? Open the door, and like, dude, stack of pages like this big, like a fucking brick. Boom, right into my chest. They all drop to the ground, and he says, you've been served. I close the door, and I'm just like,
It happened.
alrighty. So here we are.
How long after that call?
2.5-ish weeks, something I recall.
Stupar Academy's up.
Stupar Academy's up. We had our first couple of clients.
Wow.
Making a couple of those first couple of bucks, the sweetest bucks I've ever tasted in my life, bro.
Wow.
And like, I lose all my friends. Those are I'm excommunicated. It's like John Wick.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
In 5 minutes, everybody's gonna come after you. And like, I want to make it abundantly clear to anybody listening. I have taken every single step since May 2nd to communicate and articulate that I valued my time at Cardone's office, and to this day I still respect the man. Maybe one of these days we'll jump on a podcast like you did with Brecca.
That would be crazy.
But point is that I want to make it abundantly clear. I was sued on a non-compete, and there was nothing ever found through evidence discovery otherwise that said that at any point in time that I had breached any form of that employee contract. And I want to make it abundantly clear, I never did anything wrong. All I ever wanted to do is I just wanted to help people. And to this day, that's what gets me up in the morning, is to help other people. But kind of back into that story, I think you had a question.
I do.
I saw that look in your eye.
Yeah, no, because like I'm putting myself in the position of listeners that are like, doesn't seem like there's a good reason why you left. What was the reason that really pushed you to say, yeah, I can't do this with Grant. I can't do this with them?
There's honestly, I think for every significant decision that you have in life, I think there's probably a pretty long list of things that, from little tiny little things to, maybe some heavier ones. But, the main things is I just no longer really wanted to participate in Scientology. That's kind of it's a well-known thing, I think, at this point, that everybody knows that, Grant's in Scientology. I too was kind of, I don't want to use the word forced, but I was kind of pushed in that direction. I participated in that for quite some time during my tenure there, like a lot of people either still do or did when they were there. And I just I'm a pastor's kid, dude. My parents are Christian. Like, I'm not a Scientologist.
Right.
I just kind of did it to get myself some advantages while working there professionally, which I think is still semi-disgusting. I got tired of that. I got tired of the fact that they were beginning to see me as I was beginning to see myself, which is I am the value add in what I'm selling here and what I'm doing with clients. And I don't think that they liked the fact that I could personally be taking credit for some of the boosts in sales or some of the things that some of my personal clients ended up, seeing. And of course, while I was there, like, my exposure kind of grew, and there was, podcast opportunities and things of that nature to the Jordan Stupar brand that they kind of wanted to, hey, slow it down, dude. And so
you used to do these Wednesday calls, right? And you used to be, training people.
Yeah.
And you used to put your spin on things.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what they didn't appreciate.
And I that still confuses me, because that's one of the ways that I was able to attract some of the most business that I was bringing in, is making my own face and kind of co-branding myself beneath that umbrella. And it was a lot of those types of things where it's like, I see where this is going. They want me to just be this one thing, but the main thing for the listeners, the main reason why I left is I went to the 2017 10X Growth Con.
Yep.
That's where I met you.
Yes, yeah.
And I was Grant's top guy, and so I'm in the backstage and blah, blah, blah. And like, I knew the speaker lineup, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have probably 20 to 30 seconds, maybe if I'm lucky, with pretty much all of these speakers, from Andy Frisella to Tim Grover to Damon John, blah, blah, blah. And I was high level enough to know at the time, like, if you're gonna meet somebody like that and you got 20 seconds, like, don't ask them like, hey dude, how can I make more money? Too general. Like, you want something kind of specific with a bit of context. Like, make it a good question. So I remember I met Andy Frisella in the bathroom, and I just, after we got out of the bathroom, I was like, what's up, dude? Are you Andy? Yeah, dude, what's up?
Yeah.
I was like, hey dude, can I ask you like one question? I'm one of Grant's sales guys. Oh dude, for sure. What's up? It's like, okay. In 2013, I made 40 grand. In 2014, I made $80,000. In 2015, I made $373,000. In 2016, I made $452,000. It's 2017. I've probably already made $250,000, but I'm curious. If you were me, how do you compress time and how do you make $1 million in sales commissions in 1 year? And every single speaker that I spoke to, and there's like 15 of them, 12 of them, something like that. Yeah. Every single one of them gave me the same answer. Well, sounds like you're pretty good at closing deals, bro. Are you still prospecting? Yeah, dude, I'm still spending 70, 80% of my time cold calling. Oh, well, why don't you just get 2 or 3, cold callers beneath you so that they can just line up your calendar and all you do all day is just
close them.
Just close deals. And I'm like, honestly, that's a really damn good idea. How come I haven't thought of this myself?
Sure.
And also, like, each one of those talks, it's the entrepreneurship talk, and like, when are you gonna actually go and do this? And like, I'm like,
now.
Pretty much right now, bro. So like, after that event, I'm in the parking lot. Grant's coming out of the office and getting into his roles, and I'm walking into the office, and I'm like, yo, G, question. It's like, what's up? I'm like, hey, bro, in 2013, I made 40 grand. In 2014, I made 80 grand. In 2015, I made 373. In 2016, I made 452. I've made about a quarter so far. It's May. How do I compress time? How do I make $1 million in a year? And I was expecting the same answer because these are all like, entrepreneur. He takes off his sunglasses, looks at me. He's like, bro, you made $452,000 last year. If you change anything, you're a fucking idiot. Puts on his sunglasses, unlocks the rolls, gets in, takes off. And I'm just literally standing there like, wow. How is that his answer?
Right. The guy that says think bigger.
I know for every $100,000 I make for myself, I'm making you like 600,000. So
yeah, let's touch up on that. Like Grant wrote a book 10X,
yep.
Right? And a lot of people who may have now read the book or understand it, but it's all about like, okay, think bigger, right? Yeah. It's almost like the magic of thinking big, yeah. But more of a modern version. Mm-hmm. And telling you, well, don't fucking change anything. Yeah. Think small, settle, yeah. Is the opposite of what he teaches, right? Why would he say that?
I'll be 100% honest with you. I have no idea. I don't think, as a business owner now with several years of experience, I don't see any real incentive for me to tell my guys to play smaller play on the like. I don't think that there's any real incentive there. I really don't know why, and that's what I found most perplexing. Is like I really thought that through. I'm not here to waste somebody else's time, sure. Or be an ass. Like, right. One of the other reasons why I left when I was 30 years old. I made a promise to myself on 71st and Collins at 5:00 in the morning as a 25-year-old prior to working there, that I will make $1 million in 1 year by the time that I'm 30, or I'm going to quit this opportunity and pursue something else.
Wow.
And I hadn't done that yet. And I was turning 30 and I was looking for that answer so that I could give myself a good reason to stay there instead of breaching my own contract.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's kind of a little garbage list of a bunch of, but those are kind of the main big ones of why I really ended up leaving.
My guys, right, they're making $300,000, $400,000. I would never tell a Ferrari to slow down. Right? It just doesn't make any sense. So like, I'm the type of leader that, I push my guys to say, you're 30, you're making 400. How do we get you to $1 million? Yeah. Right? Like, how else can we help your family? Right. How can we help your family? Yeah. What do you need? What resources? Oh, you want to expand? Okay. You have your ducks in a row here. Let's go ahead and do that. To me, that's like every business owner's dream is to have a person that wants to build, wants to grow, wants to find ways to make more money. And the answer was, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I found that to be extremely perplexing. I don't know what their culture is these days. I'm assuming that they may carry on a couple of things that I helped develop. I found it very perplexing based on several areas of their overall sales culture that I was 100% responsible for kind of creating or spinning up. I really thought like I was trying to buy into being entrepreneurial, mm-hmm. and kind of like, dude, I want to be here. This is my thing. I'm here for it. Can I build this within the thing?
Sure.
And I don't know why they didn't want it, but
what would they need to do differently? Like, let's just say we could rewind back. What response were you looking from Grant for you to say, still be there today? Or do you think that would never have happened?
Dude, I teach this to managers and owners all the time. Number one, just basic levels of recognition can go so far.
Yeah.
So far. Yes, I get it. Yeah, the paycheck, I earned $60,000 this month.
Mm-hmm.
And but dude, if I'm your top guy, I'm not saying you got to put me on the jet or fly me out or put me on a yacht or rent me a Lambo. I can rent my own damn Lambo for
right.
the week. Dude, just walk up to me and be like, hey bro, you're a fucking killer.
Genuinely.
I love having you on the team, and maybe one of these days, let's go get dinner or something, or share a drink, or go smoke a cigar or something. I'd want to pick your brain about some things that maybe we can do to help.
I love that.
I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
And it's like, of course me.
Yes.
But like, you're looking up there to your boss, you know?
Yeah.
Number one. Number two is, give people that are truly, genuinely interested in improving the business and being intrapreneurs. And I'm not saying like do things that shouldn't really happen in the bit. I'm not saying like, hey dude, let's make a line of energy drinks. I'm like, hey bro, can I get 2 or 3 cold callers on the sales floor just for me, so that I can do what I really do best here and just close deals? It's like, well, yeah, at least it's worth a conversation.
Of course.
You know? So that's number 2. And then number three is never change the fucking pay plan on your top guy. Ever. Don't touch that thing. And if you are, figure out a way to make it better. I was making $500,000 a year, and they were like, hi, instead of paying you a percentage on the total contract that you sign, we're just going to give you $5,000 a month salary, and then we're going to give you 10% of each dollar that comes in. So I'm like, okay, I'm making like $50,000, $60,000 a month on average.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to go down to 5 guaranteed. To make $50,000, I would need to collect $500,000 worth of new revenue.
When your quota used to be 100.
Yeah. And I got to collect that money to get 10% of it. Get bent, bro.
Yeah. I want to touch upon that because, in my market where we are, right, we get paid by the carriers.
Yeah.
So something happened last year, the carrier changed the compensation. So now our company profit margins are not the same, right? So that means the fixed cost is the same. Contest, all these things are all stay the same, right? But now how do we go and pay where we don't drown? So I made an executive decision as CEO. I said, we are not killing our momentum. In the fourth quarter, we're not doing that. Right? I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna continue to do what we do. We're gonna put our people first.
Got to.
We're gonna pay them. We're gonna figure out. We're gonna bring other projects to be able to even it out. But yeah, sometimes you don't control it. But if you're CEO or if you whatever industry you're in and you don't control the market, like what's going on with tariffs today, right? Everybody's like, man, like I can't pay my people the same. My profit margins are not the same. Make it known to your people. It's not you making that decision because you're a greedy bastard. It's because that's what's happening in the marketplace, and that's the change of the industry, not just your sole decision.
Amen.
Yeah, because
and hats off to you for doing that, bro.
Thank you.
That's literally, like I said, bullet point number 3 is, and I mean, especially to your top people that are working their asses off for you. Like, don't make it harder to make the same amount of money. Make it easier to make more. Yeah. And those would be, I would say, like the main reasons why I ended up doing what I did. And
before I turn into a sales game, right? You mentioned something about taking care of your top guys. We just had a Jamaica trip, all paid expense trip. And one of the guys, couldn't get his passport.
Yeah.
We told him 6 months ago, 3 months ago, hey, get your passport, get your passports. He couldn't get it. So I have one empty spot to fulfill.
Yeah.
Right? I pick up the phone, 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, hey, Chris, listen, you haven't missed a day in 2 years. I want you to know that I recognize that. I want you to know that I appreciate that. You're 1099. You're working for yourself. You're making a lot of money. You're crushing it. But you know what? What I want to do for you, I want to send you to Jamaica, all paid expense.
Yeah.
Those are the moments, if you're a leader, business owner, manager, whatever it is, right? When you just go in and you say, you know what? Let me take care of someone else when they least expect it, right? They're going to remember that. And they're going to value that. So
100%. And good on you for, that's probably why you have whatever you said, like 80% plus retention rate across hundreds
72%,
That's in sales, unheard of.
Yeah.
And that's probably a little bit why. So if you are I know I'm paying attention to that. So
Thank you.
Good for you on that.
There's 5 levels of sales.
Okay.
Right? Timeline. Okay. You talked about that. Like people go into sales and they think about quitting. Right? What are the 5 levels?
Yeah, I just dropped a YouTube channel about this. Good on you for doing whatever homework you did, or had your assistant do, whatever.
Yeah.
Essentially, you got 5 kind of like levels. Level number 1 is like you're pretty much new, amateur. You're probably making like 30 to 70 grand a year type thing. You're probably working maybe retail at the Verizon store, at the car dealership, like. It's not this tried and true sales gig, but you're facilitating stuff. And, you know, this is where you're literally just learning how to like show up, talk to a person, and hopefully give them the confidence to buy something.
Sure.
Once you kind of develop at least those basic skills, the level 2 is kind of like that, you know, 60K to like 100K a year type thing where you're still kind of like amateur, like maybe some door to door, you know, whatever. And the skill that you're really developing there is you're developing the skill of discipline a little bit on a basic level, not like lights out, like some of the things I've shared on my story of working until 10, 11 o'clock. I'm just saying from 9 to 6, you're doing some work.
Sure.
You're not wasting the whole day.
You're not scrolling through Instagram.
Exactly. And from there, that's where a lot of people stay. Level 3 is you're working simultaneously on higher levels of discipline, but also working simultaneously on actual sales skills. The way that your tonality is and the way that you sound and pitch and handle objections is you're working on some real mechanics here of communication. And your income range usually on this level is like 100K to like 150, 175. You're like kind of a professional now.
Right.
Then you have level 4 is where you're diving deep into the mechanics of how you sell. You're really, really trying to figure out the psychology behind the questions that you ask, the way that you really show up, but you're also extremely knowledgeable in your industry, your competitors, your product. Like you understand everything about what you sell and you know how to articulate it. Income range generally for somebody like this. And you're also likely selling higher ticket things, usually B2B, but again, could be business to consumer.
And for the people that are listening that maybe not in sales, but want to get into sales, higher ticket items is not the little ones where you're getting paid maybe $10,000, $5,000, dollars. It's a big item that you have a high level of commission that you can go and say, I'm dealing with a client that has 25 locations. I'm going to go close 25 locations and get 25 times what I would get paid rather than one time.
Yep.
So.
I'm not talking about like high ticket sales of $5,000.
Yeah.
I'm talking like $500,000 tickets.
Yep.
And so the income bracket usually at like level 4 is kind of like the 175 to like 300K. And by the way, for those of you listening, $300,000 of income, if you're making that right now, you're part of 2% of Americans that do that.
Wow.
So if you lined up 100 Americans on wherever, 2 of them are making 300 grand. And it can seem like a ton of money. Once you eclipse that, it can also seem like a very small amount of money.
Sure.
But again, there's really, truly not a lot of salespeople making over 300 grand a year. It is hyper unrealistic to consider that. So if you are looking at this scale and you're thinking about where you'd like to end up in sales or where you'd like to get to, understand that there's a pretty good level of work to get to that 300K level, and that you're joining 2% of the American population at that income bracket. If, however, you want to make more money, there is another level, and that's level number 5. Level number 5 in sales is generally 300K plus. I know lots of salespeople that are making $2, $3, $4 million a year. These are people that have mastered discipline, they've mastered their industry, they've mastered their product, they've mastered their own tonality, communication, the way that they've asked questions. But now what they've done is they are part of the network that they sell to.
Sure.
This is the person that probably really doesn't go to the office and honestly probably spends a good chunk of his day at the country club with the affluent business owners and titans of industry, and is just truly a relationship-based person, and again, just shaking hands and doing deals.
Yeah.
And if you are a masochist, you can jump off of level 5 and hope to build a parachute on your way down and start your own business like I did.
Wow. Amazing. This is the type of content that most people don't get, right?
Yeah.
That's why, sitting down here with you today, when I say you bled for it, everything you just shared through, you lived it. You lived it, right? Twice. You lived it. And that's why I love this. Now, when people walk in through my interview process, right? We have 3-step interview process. Number one disqualifier for me, right, is that you don't want to be a sales professional. That you're coming here to tip your toes in the water, that you just want to make some money, you want to make quick money. How does someone, I'm going to ask you almost the same question that you asked, Andy, how do you compress time and become sales professional faster?
Yeah. 2 things. I talked about this at a seminar I just gave in Kentucky. We're all going to make $1 million.
Yes.
I'm just going to do it a whole lot quicker than you, because I'm going to put in all of those reps that it's going to take you 3 or 4 or 5 years to make, and I'm going to do that in 6 months.
Yep.
So I'm running from opportunity to opportunity, high levels of activity. That obviously is going to give you exposure to more opportunities in a shorter period of time, but also gives you enough at-bats to build skill. And of course, if you can continue that level of activity while your quality per opportunity goes up, congratulations, you're going to get rich.
Yeah.
The second thing goes a little bit back to how you're spending your time outside of work. Like, I wish I would have documented this. It's like that Gary Vee video where he's like, you're going to wish you documented. And I'm like, I do wish that I can't tell you how many nights I went home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and literally just listened to, we didn't have phone call recordings at Grant's office, so I literally would use my iPhone.
Oh, really?
I can't tell you how many sales pitches I listened to where I couldn't hear the prospect. I was just listening to myself. Dude, I sounded like an ass, right? I can't believe I just said quadrillion ROI.
Wow.
Like, I said dude. I called Albert dude, and I'm hoping to get him to... Okay, now that I'm aware of these things, I can't tell you how many hours of time I spent in the mirror. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Thanks for joining the... No, that's stupid. I don't want to thank this guy. Hey, Albert. Appreciate you showing up to the call. I'm grateful we were both able to take some time out of our day to take a look at this. Okay.
Did I get you to have decent time?
Did I catch you at a halfway decent time? Okay. Oh, shit, dude. That was flame.
Yeah.
Writing this stuff down. Now I'm compiling everything that I teach now. It's like, oh, where did you come up with all these videos? It's like, bro, I've done this for years for myself, and it helped me. So but literally, if you want to be that sales professional, whether you work at my organization, Albert's, whatever, number 1, activity. Number 2, different type of activity. Work on your skills so that when you work on your activity, you're lethal.
In our culture, in our sales, headquarters.
Which I love.
Thank
By
you.
the way, I have never really been there, but looking at it, do it.
The doors are open. We will treat you the king that you are.
I'd
we would love that. Please do. The guys and the girls will love you because you are someone that's gonna come in and give them the real juice, and I love that about you. So please, the invitation is extended.
Yeah.
Now, in our culture, it is mandatory for my managers, for my directors of sales to listen to your calls with you.
Love it.
Like, I don't understand, how can you play a sport and not watch tape, right? It just doesn't make sense. So if you are in the sales industry, you are in sales, business, and you have salespeople and you don't have call recording, you're killing your business. You will never train them to become a lethal weapon. You will never help them improve and adjust and pivot on the things that they're struggling with, and you're never going to be able to get them to be as sharp as a steak knife. So therefore, my advice to every single sales business owner out there that has a sales team, train your people, listen to their calls, work on their rebuttals, and make sure that they hear themselves and they understand that there's ways to improve and that you're there with them, teaching them how to do so.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important.
Wow, I can't believe that someone like Grant did not have that.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing like that.
Wow.
It was the only thing we got like his university, and like we were forced to watch 6 videos a day, and that was about it.
You know how they say, like, you know, sometimes McDonald's have a shit product, but they have one of the best marketings, right? And it's almost the same thing, right? I'm not gonna talk shit about Grant's product because I don't know Grant's product, but my thing is like no leads, no dialer, no like there's CRM. There's nothing like extensive, but the guy's making millions upon millions of dollars, and it's because the brand, the marketing.
Yeah.
So how important is for you to build the marketing and brand to become who you are today?
I mean, it's unbelievably, I would say that it's one of the foundations of my business is to give my people every distinct advantage I can give them, from the tools, the tech, the marketing, the advertising, the lead distribution, the lead scoring. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of my time just tweaking, optimizing little systems and lists and processes and blah, 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 so that all they got to do, you can pick up the phone.
Yes.
And you can follow at least a little bit of this script. You're going to make money.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, one of the most shocking parts of my business is talking to other businesses that are doing millions of dollars a year, like having like, I guess, some success. And they're like, they don't have anything like that set up. It's a bit of like what I experienced at Grant's, where it's like, dude, we're killing it over here. But like, you can't see how many, your guys are literally doing tally on like how many calls they made. And that's how you bank as a manager to figure out how many calls they made.
Yeah.
Like, what if they just, you don't have call recordings, you don't have screen share like you don't have a CRM to actually like track like how many emails got sent. It's like, it blows my mind how many businesses don't have that implemented. And if you're one of those people, please just give us a call. I won't even sell you on it because I don't sell that stuff, but I'll tell you how to do it.
Wow.
You know, like, it's just so important.
You know, talking about branding, talking about tools, what we have right behind you is the cash cards, right?
Yeah.
Can you touch upon that? How did the idea come?
Yeah.
And how many people actually reached out to you and shared their testimonials on how this has helped them? Yeah.
So cash cards, I really personally can't take the credit. I think that idea came from God.
Wow.
I was firing up this business for the second time back in 2020. And I was like, dude, like, how am I going to get leads? Like, am I going to have to do this the way that I did it before and just go onto Google and like, it's like, I wonder if anybody's made flashcards for sales objections. And I Googled it and I was like, dude, you mean to tell me that none of these guys have made this before? I'm getting straight to it. And then I was like, oh, cash cards, flashcards for closes. So good marketing name. And to be totally clear on the entrepreneurship side of this story, I'd never made a tangible product before. I didn't know where to make a deck of cards.
Yeah.
I didn't know where a manufacturer was or how much it was going to cost. I didn't even have any money to really make them. But I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's bullet point number 1 of entrepreneurship. Anyway, I did it, and I finally got like my first 5 decks in the mail because that's like what I could like afford. And I took like this little selfie and I put it on Facebook, and I basically just said like, I wish my parents would have included a deck of these in my Hooked on Phonics. I'd be retired by now.
Yeah.
And I had like a little link to my like Shopify store. And I was like, dude, my wife, or my fiance at the time, she's like, that's stupid. Like, nobody's going to buy it. And within like 3 minutes, cha-ching, 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 sold out. It's like,
wow.
Dude, I just made $150.
Yeah.
Reordered, ordered 25 more. And I was like, hey guys, back in stock. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get like one more person. Within 7 minutes, 25 decks gone, sold. And I'm like, whoa, this is dope.
This is awesome.
And fast forward nearly 5 years now, we've sold $3 million worth of cards. we've generated 90,000 qualified leads of people saying, hey, I got my, and look, if you're listening to this and we've ever called you like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times because you bought a deck of cards, it's in your best interest to pick up that phone, because the deck of cards, it's the tip of the iceberg of what we could really do for you.
Sure.
And our intention is not to bug you and be salesy. It's truly to identify, like, dude, which one of these cards are you really,
right.
Do you want to role play right now? Like, we want to make you better.
I love that.
So that's the one misunderstanding I haven't been able to really capitalize on, because I don't know how to advertise that at scale. We're like, we are not the rest of the sales trainers in this space. We are not here to upsell you on 10K packages and a bunch of bullshit. Like, we genuinely want to help.
So I don't know if you remember this, and I want to make sure that I remember it, right? This was your almost, it's not, I would not call it branding. I would say like a slogan, and it was underdog.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
That was like 2017 while I was the underdog.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you still feel like an underdog?
100%.
Still. Exit multiple businesses, real estate investments, beautiful wife and children, fantastic office, you're successful. Why do you still feel like an underdog?
I still feel like I still feel the chip on my shoulder to prove a point to myself about why I decided to do any of this stuff in the first place. Like, when the COO at Cardone told me, like, you're never going to make more money anywhere else. Like, I eclipsed that a couple of years ago, so it's not really got that weight on me where it's like, I got to hit this number.
Yeah.
But now it's like, dude, I have to like transcend the doubt that anyone has ever put on me, and I have to cast a shadow on the negativity and on the doubt that other people have on me, so that it's so dark that nobody can even see that doubt. There will be no doubt as to who the most authentic, realist, and truly best person is in my space. I'm not trying to, hey man, let's make a little bit of money this year. The money's cool. Right now, the mission is to cast a shadow on all the doubt, all the haters, and I still have hundreds of screenshots in my phone from all the people back in the day that said I was never going to be shit.
Wow. I remember Patrick Bet-David telling me, you have to choose your enemy wisely.
I read that book.
Yeah, great book.
Great book.
Right? And one of the things I was reading, I'm like, who are the enemies? What are the enemies? And the enemies is those screenshots. It's the voice of the CEO telling you that you're never going to make that much money. What is the biggest enemy you have today that you want to conquer? What or who that is? You don't have to name publicly their name, but like, what have they done to be able to say, you know what? Wait till you see.
Biggest enemy I have today, split between like two entities. One is, I had this teacher in high school that he kind of called me out in English class. And it wasn't like a reachable target, like, oh, you'll never make this type of money before.
Sure.
It was, you'll never make much out of yourself.
Yeah.
And I kind of see that I've made something of myself so far, but is it much? Like, what's his definition? And then how does that align itself with my definition? So it's kind of this, it doesn't really matter how good things get or what I accomplish. Like, can I call Mr. Flag back and be like, hey bro, like, did I do it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of this super general, moving goalpost type of thing. But the main thing for me, my enemy is time. When I got sued, I lost the ability to do what I believe I'm best at and the thing that I learned to truly love. Like, dude, you could give me the worst deck of cards right now in the world, and I will literally go into that desk and I will live there, sleep there, eat there, piss there, do everything there, and it won't feel like anything to me.
Right.
Because I love doing what I'm doing. And so the main enemy is like, dude, I lost 3 years of my life. I'm 3 years behind you, bro. Like for 942 days, I had to log on to Instagram. And I know you went through your own challenges, no doubt. But I got to see you like, with, whatever it was, 4 guys, but you had the champagne bottle.
Sure,
for the
yeah.
Man, fuck this guy, bro. Like,
right.
He can do that, and I can't do it. And that's my main thing is I have like a vendetta on like, I have to create out of thin air 3 years of extra time. But no matter how many times I do that 3 years is still gone. So I'm constantly trying to make up for that 3 years of just inability to do the thing that I'm doing. But the main thing that I operate from is gratitude to do the thing that I'm doing.
Wow.
There's a lot of people that wake up every single day that literally like go into a job that they hate, or are in a relationship they don't like, or whatever. And like, dude, I would rather die than be one of those people because I know what it's like to have to do something I don't want to do because I don't even have the freedom to do the thing that I want to do. So every single day on my worst days, bro, I'm like, fuck, this is better doing that thing that I had to do.
I agree.
So just, I operate from a lot of gratitude versus, enemies. But again, there are some enemies and I'm sure a lot of you guys can name them.
May I throw a different perspective?
For sure.
Okay, for you. As a friend, someone that knows your story, understands your story, been through similar things, why did you move back? How did you meet your wife?
Oh, that's a great question. I moved back to Wisconsin in 2018 because I kind of ran out of money. I didn't have any friends left in Miami.
Sure.
The relationship that I had got toxic because that was kind of like one of those like money.
Yeah, of course.
And so I packed up my U-Haul, came to Wisconsin, and I kind of promised to myself, I was like, dude, I'm not meeting anybody for a long time. Like, I'm good. I just got my ass kicked. But sure enough, like 3 weeks here, I go out to a bar with one of my buddies, and he's like kind of one of the guys to know around town in Milwaukee or whatever. And we go out to watch like a Packer game and eat some wings. And like we walk up to these 2 girls, and I saw who's my wife now. I was like, bro, who was that? He's like, oh, that's just Marion. And I was like, just? I almost blasted him in the face right there for like, And literally, I followed her out of that bar. I went to the next place that she went to. Kind of insane.
Creative follow-up.
I'm like, oh, yeah, tab me out, bro. Like, I need to go catch up. And then I followed her to the next place, and then I literally just pulled up a chair. I'm like, hi, I just moved back here from Miami. She's like, for real? Me too. I was like, shut your mouth. I was like, how long ago? She's like, oh, like 3 months ago. I was like, 2 months, like, where did you live? I mean, if you meet somebody from Miami that you just left Miami and like you've never met, you meet in Milwaukee, like you're going to be hanging out for a while.
Oh yeah.
So technically that's how we met, is in a bar, which is, I mean, the most cliche Wisconsin thing to say.
You have a beautiful family.
I love my family.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, and I'm even talking like seeing how your parents are involved with the church, your girls, I mean, what you just did, took them to Disney World. I mean, that's just fantastic. I mean, that's the father's dream to be able to say, let's go Saturday, we're going to freaking Disney World, right? What if this whole lawsuit, this whole thing happened because you were meant to meet your wife and bring those 2 beautiful girls here?
Without a doubt. Here's the perspective. Grant didn't sue me. God sued me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get all preachy on anybody or tell you what to believe or anything. You could say the universe sued me, whatever you want. Insert your belief here. Yeah. When I left that office, dude, I thought I was hot shit. I thought I was the next best thing since sliced bread and, you know, warm chocolate cookies. Like, I was untouchable.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was getting to a point of looking down at people that had less. And then I got my ass whooped and went right back, way past them, way less than them. And to be perfectly clear, y'all, when I say like I went way down past like them, I'm talking about like I started this business on July 1st, 2020 with $117,000 worth of debt. That's what I owed my attorneys still from the lawsuit. I had $800 in the bank account and like no customer, like no, not like, so like, I'm humble.
Yeah.
The success that I do have right now and the growth that I have experienced is something that just I feel very grateful for, because I know that God can pull the rug at any time. But to answer your question 100%, I believe that a lot of this was God's path of putting me back into a place where I could find this life. And I am eternally grateful for it.
That's right. You know, there's a quote that I dedicate to you, and that is, the rock bottom became the foundation that I built my massive success on.
100%.
And you've been there, you love there, you said, you know what, I'm comfortable here and I'll build from here.
Oh, easy.
So,
yeah.
Jordan, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate you. Great story, amazing lessons, and we'll do this again when you're back in Connecticut.
It's been a great chat.
Thank you.